Hello and welcome to another episode of ElectricStringPlayer.com. I'm your host, Jacob Sikeli, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Luis Moscato.
Hello, everyone.
And today we have a special report for you on a really interesting and unique product. You know, usually at the pickup test, we're all about apples-to-apples comparisons of gear, whether it be mics, pickups, preamps, or whatever. But today, we really wanted to focus on just this particular piece of kit because it really is kind of a world unto itself. And we're talking about the ToneDexter by Audio Sprockets. Now, at first glance, it looks like a preamp, right, Luis?
It does. It's a really neat piece of gear, actually. It's a red box, like red metal box.
Super sexy.
Very much. And so at first we thought it was like, okay, let's just compare to other ones. It's like a preamp. It has like EQ and everything a preamp has.
Like boost, mute, DI, amp output, notch filter, all that good stuff.
Sounds like a preamp, right?
Yeah.
But no.
No.
So the ToneDexter has like some very interesting features. But the most interesting of all is the teaching mode or the learning mode. Where you can teach your pickup how to sound like a microphone.
And that's really the core of what this magical red box does that separates it from anything else that we've really tested before. The idea is that you plug in a condenser mic, and the manual recommends a small diaphragm condenser, which we used, in this case a Rode NT5. And while you're playing for that microphone, and there's an input included on the ToneDexter with phantom power, you're playing your pickup at the same time and actually training the box to be able to make the waveform from your pickup signal look like the microphone. Now, since the earliest days of string players plugging in, we've all dreamed about having the isolation and the ability to play with effects, right? Combined with the purity of sound and air that you can only really get from a microphone. Now, whether you've been blending or you've chosen to go with a pickup or a mic in your rig, you already know that there are a lot of compromises that you have to make whichever one you choose. So the concept of this box is to help you get the best of all worlds. But of course the question, Luis, is does it sound good?
That's a great question, man. Let's try it out.
Training the ToneDexter requires a small diaphragm condenser mic, so you'll need to borrow one from a friend if you don't have one already. You can also use a close mic that you may own, like DPA, Countryman, or anything else in that category. The ToneDexter has 22 slots for saving individual wave maps. Slot 22 is reserved for wave maps that don't have the EQ added. The character knob allows us to add punch and cut to our wave mapped sound. Here's the same wave map we just made with 50% character added in. Back to 0%. Back to 50%. And at 100%. Next, we wanted to see how much the character of the microphone could change the wave map. So we went with Luis's DPA 4099. Let's see what happens. Now, here's the wave map of the DPA. Using the same process we used with Luis, I trained the ToneDexter with a microphone about 3 feet away. Here's the resulting wave map with no EQ applied and with the character knob at 0. Check this out. Now, have a listen to that same pickup completely bypassing the ToneDexter. So this is just the raw sound of the pickup. Same excerpt. Pretty gigantic difference, right? Almost makes me think, how can I've spent all this time without it. Now, let's listen to that same excerpt one more time. And what we're going to do is we're going to listen to it with the same ToneDexter setting you just heard, and then I'm going to switch it over to the setting we trained with the same microphone distance, but with ToneDexter's EQ applied. And this EQ is applied to help kind of avoid feedback, and you can train the ToneDexter to do it for you automatically. So you don't have to have a golden ear and getting rid of your own EQ. So again, here's the basic setting that we just heard in the beginning. ToneDexter with no EQ. Now, let's listen to the next wave map with that EQ applied. Check out the difference. As I think you'll agree, both results are pretty musical. The EQ'd one has a little bit more cut and a little bit more color to help you get through, cut through the band and eliminate some of the potential feedback issues. We also wanted to see if changing the microphone that we were using to train the ToneDexter made as big of a difference with the cello as it did with Luis's violin. So I used my trusty DPA and put it in its usual sweet spot near the F hole. And here are some of the results we got. Again, here's the ToneDexter bypass, just the pickup. And here's our original Rode mic. Back to the DPA. Here's the same DPA mic with the EQ applied. See what you think. love the idea that in order to change the musical results that you want, to get a little bit more distance from the instrument, a little more bridge sound, a little less bass, you simply move the microphone around just as you would in a regular studio. And instead of remembering dozens of settings on your EQ and reverb units to change your sound or adjust for the room or the type of recording you're going to do, you just save them as wave maps. It's really intuitive and really idiot-proof live. Now let's check out the character knob, and we'll go back to the original Rode NT1 setting without any of the EQ. So that's the first recording that you heard. And let's start with the character at 0. Now there's 3 positions total, 0, 1, and 2. And 1 and 2 add progressively more cut to your sound, but I find they do it in a really musical way. It's not some basic EQ that just kind of kills part of your tone or just unnaturally boosts the highs, but it really seems to have a musical effect. Let's see what you think. So here is the character at 0. Okay, let's check that out at the character knob at 1. Now, let's check out the character knob at 2. The ToneDexter also works great with pits, so let's go back to 0 on the character knob and the same Rode mic we've been using. Now let's listen to the same thing with the ToneDexter bypassed. Yeah, definitely a way more realistic sound, again, with the ToneDexter. I can imagine some of you who do a lot of faux bass playing on the cello might actually prefer the original pickup sound, because with a little bit of compression and EQ, it's got a little bit more of that sustained, compressed kind of thing that you might hear from a bass piezo pickup. So if you're kind of imitating that, that might be the thing. But again, just as easy to achieve with the ToneDexter, and you can bypass it and go back to the ToneDexter for the bow if you want it. So really, really versatile tool there. Now that we've checked it out, what are some of your thoughts about the unit?
All right. Well, first of all, size-wise, it fits pretty much any pedal board. It's not too big, not too small. It's right in between the Baggs Acoustic DI and the Venue. So it's like pretty nice, you know, especially for all the features it includes.
It's an incredibly pedal board friendly pedal, right? Particularly not just because of its size, but because the power recommended for the unit is from 9 volts to 12, and apparently you can use either negative or positive polarity, so it really will fit, I should say, with any power supply you're using, which is amazingly handy. Sorry though, no batteries. Also, something that makes this pedal board friendly is it gives you the possibility of eliminating your tuner pedal, right?
Yes.
Much like the Bags Venue and the Fishman, this has a built-in tuner with a huge bright red screen. Now, I will say that the tuner was a little bit difficult to use, and similarly to the Fishman, it does crap out on that low C for cellos. I guess that's because it's below the lowest note on a guitar, that E, and so the tuner's just not built to handle it. So you'll have to use your harmonic there, C harmonic, but it's a relatively small complaint, even from us cellists. I also loved the build quality of this unit. After messing around with it, it really feels like it's made for the road.
It's sturdy, it's beautiful, as we talked before. It's like a sexy unit. It's like red and beautiful. And
the knobs feel great, right? When you're turning them, it's like not plasticky. And the pots just feels like it's going to last a long time.
Yes, it does. And besides all of that, not only the quality of the product, but the manual too.
Oh, yes.
It's a very interesting unity. It's very unique and has a lot of features that are not used to. So I think the manual deserves to be as it is. Very specific, very clear. It's quite technical, but not in a hard way. It doesn't intimidate most of the people. So I think it's exactly what it needed for like this kind of unique piece of gear.
I mean, this unit does have, it's not difficult to learn, but it has a slightly higher learning curve than a regular preamp, for example. It's just plug and play and you turn the knobs, or certainly than a pickup or microphone. But what I loved about the manual is that it had a lot of great advice on how to use each button in there, and it really gave explanations, not just from a technical perspective, but from a sound perspective. Like, turn this knob to get a little bit more cut. You know, mess with the phase to find the spot that has less bass. You know, all of these types of things make it very, very musician friendly, even if you're non-technical. And I'm sure you would agree that after listening to those excerpts, the little bit of time that you might spend having to actually read the manual was well worth it.
Yeah, and also with this unity, you're eliminating a preamp, because it is a preamp, right? And so you don't need a preamp. That's all you're gonna need pretty much. If I was gonna use it, I probably would bring just that and a delay. That's all you're gonna need it.
Yeah, I even found that because it's simulating a little bit of the response that you would get from the air between the microphone and the instrument, I wasn't even that excited about putting reverb on the signal, although I did put a little bit in the end. But it really can be a standalone sound solution. So hats off to James May at Audio Sprockets, and thanks for creating a really revolutionary product. We're excited. Well, that's it for now. We should remind you that there are a couple of different ways that you can support our work. We have a Patreon, we have Amazon affiliate links you can link to below, and you can subscribe our page and tell all your friends. We really appreciate it. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time at electricstringplayer.com.
See you.